Good morning. My name is Travis Vickerson, Vice President of Operations for Chippers Inc., a New England-based tree care company. And today we're going to talk about crane slings. The safety involved with crane operations is very difficult work, but we want to make sure we have the right equipment and the equipment looks correct and it's functioning correctly every day. So inspection is a key aspect. So when we inspect our sling, the first thing we need to look for is we need to look for our tag. Tag has got to be in place. It's an OSHA requirement that all slings for crane operations have to be tagged in not only the vertical, but the choker and the basket configuration as well. This here is the Teufelberger Mark Chisholm crane kit. All right, it comes with 3 slings. One is a 30-footer, and then you have 2 20-footers. And what we want to look for is where our sling attaches to the ball or the hook of the crane. We want to make sure it's in good shape. We want to feel it all the way around, make sure there's no lumps and no abrasions. From here, we want to check to make sure our connection's good and our splice is good. And then we're going to run our hand down the whole length of the sling, feeling for any wear spots, feeling for any deformities in the sling. This sling here is a dead eye sling, meaning it's got an eye on one end and it's a dead eye termination on the other end. So the way we attach this is by using a timber hitch, a cow hitch, clove hitch, or a running bolt onto our material and secure it that way. So there's no shackle involved. There's lots of different crane clip kits and different slings on the market. I choose the dead eye slings because the versatility it offers you as a climber to be able to attach in spider legs pieces, do half hitches on dead wood to keep it like a spinal column so it doesn't fall apart, and other operations like that. So we'll go look at our next 2 slings here. All right, again, we want to make sure our tag is in place. This for the vertical configuration is rated for 6,200 pounds, meaning that has no knots. If it's tied here and does not have a termination, it's good for 6,200. Well, obviously we don't run it that way. The way we operate in tree care is as a choker, meaning we take our piece, we go around material, and we choke it off with some form of termination knot here. And again, this could be a cow hitch, a timber hitch, half hitch, or closed clove hitches, and then also running bowline. So you terminate it here. This creates our basket or our choker configuration as we're choking the material. The reason we like the choker configuration in tree care is it cinches down tight. It prevents the material from sliding left or right or falling out of our sling. In a basket configuration, you're literally just capturing around like this, and obviously you have the potential for material to fall out of the basket. So we don't like the basket configuration for tree care. We prefer the choker configuration. Last sling here. Just gonna check this one too, make sure it's all good to go for today's crane work. Yep, tag's in place. Eye feels good. And then check the whole length of the sling again, making sure we don't have any deformities or any issues. The last thing we're gonna check is our crane tie-in piece. This is a custom-made unit here, made by Reed Wortley out of Asheville, North Carolina. What this is 2 opposing gate carabiners that clip onto our load line. Then you have 2 terminated eyes that are spliced, and then they're lock stitched together, the entire configuration down here. So they have a lock stitch in the middle. They have a protective sleeve that goes over and just keep them from nice and clean. We want to inspect these every time we use them. We want to take the sleeve off like we did and just slide it down and make sure that it's all good. And at the bottom and down here, we have 2 DMM steel rings. This is where our climber's line passes through. So you can get an eye splice through here really easily. You can get a sewn eye through here really easily and retrieve it back. And again, we want to take off this side of this covering and inspect our splices and make sure all the way down to our termination that it's good here as well, and it looks good. All right. So this way our climber ties in for our crane. This allows us to be above the hook and above the ball with our primary tie-in point, our suspension point. And then like by industry standards, we use our lanyard to go through the hook back to our opposing D-rings on our saddles as a secondary point of attachment while we're being hoisted. Once the climber is in work positioning, they can take off the lanyard and just use the suspension point at that from there on. Some very simple items. There's other slings on the market, such as round slings, endless round slings. You're gonna see some of those used today. Our climber prefers endless round slings because it's what he's comfortable with. And he'll use a locking shackle to go around and shackle the piece back to itself and choke it in that configuration. So the hook's dumped into the hook ball. The endless sling runs down, goes around the tree in a choker configuration, and then has a shackle binding them together. Instead of using the dead eye slings, the dead eye slings are my preference. He prefers the endless round slings, and that's okay. And again, there's lots of slings on the market. I know there's lots of manufacturers making slings now out there, and they all work very well. You got to find what you're comfortable with and what you like and prefer as a climber. All right. And the last thing is we always want to make sure our slings stay nice, clean, and dry. So we always have a dedicated sling bag for all of our slings, and we can just put them in the bag, carry them to where we need to carry them to, and we're good to go for the day. So when we're talking about slings, we want to make sure we have the right sling for the right application, all right? When we look at how much weight we're going to be picking, what our max load is going to be, rated for that sling. And again, we want to use the choker configuration number to know that. For these slings here, in the choker configuration, we're good for 4,600 pounds on one single sling. Now, we have 3 slings in place, so with 3 slings in place, that's 4,600 times 3, which is our max load we can pick with this sling kit. Now, the interesting thing is when you add a 4th sling, you actually don't gain any capacity. Due to the three-legged bridle basket configuration that it comes in, with 3 legs, you always have a triangle balance. When you add a 4th leg, you just shift the triangle. So the 4th leg will add you balance, but it will not add you capacity. So always know that you only can use the 3-leg capacity when you're figuring your capacity out for the day. Even though you may have 4, 5, or 6 slings, those are gonna add balance, but they're only as good as the 3 for capacity reasons. All right, we have endless round slings. Usually those are higher strength ratings than these. Endless round slings can be up to 20,000 pounds per sling. And again, you wanna make sure the material is gonna be configured correctly with that. One thing that I stay away from when it comes to endless round slings is when you're looking really soft wood, for instance, a birch tree or a beech tree. That wood's really smooth and soft. The sling may wanna slide a little bit with that. So therefore, it may be better to use a termination knot and do several half hitches to make it gather together. Also, there's chains on the market. Some people prefer chains. I don't prefer them as a climber because they're heavy and they bang around a lot. But there are a lot of climbers that like chains, and chains work very well. And you need to make sure that chains are connected through a master link. Also have a tag, very similar to our sling kit here. The tag has to be in place on all slings that are operating for crane work. Even if you're just doing trees, that still follows the OSHA regulation for slings attached to the crane.